Welcome to this week's sketchbook project. Yes, that's right. I changed the format a little bit. So this week you're going to be drawing from observation. That means you look at something, an object that is in front of you, and you're going to draw it in your sketchbook. But we're going to put a little bit of a twist to it, and we are going to pick objects that are small. It could be the tools that you use for drawing or making art, so you can bring all those tools out, even if you're just going to use your pencil and just put those in front of you to draw. It could be jewelry or objects that you can find around your room. It could also be utensils that we used, some of you used last week to create your designs. Or for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some of the tools that I use for jewelry making. Okay, I've noticed that some of you are using lined paper for these sketches. Try to, if you can find printer paper, use printer paper for at least, if you don't have a sketchbook, which I don't know why you don't, but if you don't have a sketchbook, then try to do it on a white piece of paper. Get a whole bunch of printer papers and just fold them up and turn it into a sketchbook. Okay, so that way you can see what you're doing, because lined paper, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of. So this is an example of what we're doing. I did this this week and I really enjoyed it. I drew some of my drawing materials that you can see over here. My pencil, this is this pen with the lid off, my eraser, and I drew them different sizes, so not necessarily true to life. Okay, so you can do your drawing tools, or as I mentioned, I'm going to do my jewelry tools. This particular thing is they're goggles, so when you are soldering things and you're using a torch, you can protect your eyes. And these are some pliers that I'm going to be drawing, right? So that's what we're doing. So just bring out, if you have a pen or a Sharpie, that's one of my favorite tools to use. You can use that. This drawing right here, I went for it with a pen. I didn't do any drawing with a pencil and then go over my lines or anything like that. I just drew it with a pen. You can do that. Just practice. If it doesn't come out good, it's fine. You're just practicing. Or if you're too scared to just draw it with a pen, you can do it with a pencil and then go over it with a pen. Okay? So let's get started. The way I did it right here, I just started drawing on my page. We're going to do it a little bit different. I think it will be fun to divide our page into sections and then start drawing our objects. And I'll show you how that works. Okay, so what do I mean by dividing our page into sections? Just start kind of creating like puzzle pieces on your page. So if this is your whole piece, you're going to just do, and remember, I'm just doing it with a pen, but if you feel more comfortable, you can start doing it with a pencil first, and then go back in there with a pen. I just thought, I don't know, this idea came to my head that it would be fun to just divide up my page like a puzzle. So you can do any kind of variation of this. All right. If you're uncomfortable using a pen, go with a pencil first. Draw your shapes. And again, you can do any shapes. Just kind of think of them as like a puzzle. To divide your page, you can do big shapes. Okay, so I'm drawing it with a pencil now, just so you get an idea. Okay, I'm done drawing it with a pencil. I'm going to go over it with a pen now. Now, obviously, if you had just done it with a pen, you could just skip the step. But then again, notice how I erased part of it over here. So it was kind of nice having it in a pencil so I can fix it. Everything with a pen, and then I erase all my pencil lines. Yeah, I made some mistakes as I was going over it with a pen, but that's okay. This is just a sketchbook project, and I bet we can turn those kind of mistakes into something more interesting. Okay, so that's what that's the opportunity that pen creates for us to kind of be more creative when we make mistakes. So I'm going to start drawing these. Now when I draw them, I'm going to draw parts of them in here and parts of them in here. I'm going to pretend like these would be puzzle pieces and they will all be connected. Okay, I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Okay, so I'm going to put this in front of me and I'm going to draw it. You can draw it from whatever angle that you see it. I am going to start, I'm going to draw it with a pen. I'm just going to go for it. Okay, notice how I'm skipping this gap that I left between my puzzle pieces, but I'm still drawing the rest of this as if they were kind of connected. So I'm just skipping over this little gap area between my puzzle pieces and continuing to draw the rest of my object and on the other side. Okay, I'm done drawing the goggles. They're not perfect, but I'm pretty happy with them. To make this more interesting, just add as much details as you possibly can. Okay, so all the little details that I see here, I'm just going to include in there to make it look more like this object that it is. I made this part a little too long, and I noticed that there were some things that I kind of messed up, but it's okay. I'm just going to work with it and see what I can do to kind of fix it up. All right, or I might not be able to, and it's totally fine if it's like wonky and weird looking. As long as in your drawings, I see that you are trying and you are actually trying to be detailed and you are neat. That's what I want to see. Don't be sloppy about it and just kind of take your time with it and think about how you can make it enjoyable for yourself. Draw things that you like, okay? And then if you want to add some cross-hatching to it, you can. I'm just going to show you examples of cross-hatching. This is just a quick segue. You don't have to do this, but just in case you want to, I'm going to show you a little value chart, right? Showing from dark to light how you can use your pen to create shadows, okay? So you can do this also as like an exercise, but you don't have to turn that in. What I do want to see is just your drawings of your objects. Hatching or cross-hatching starts with just some lines going in different directions, but they're parallel lines and they are kind of spaced out exactly the same distance, okay? If you want something to look dark, you want to put your lines close to each other. All right, that will make give the appearance that there's a dark value there. All right, I can put even more lines right there in between those. I make them darker. All right, you're not coloring it in. You're actually very intentionally drawing lines next to each other like that. And you're trying to space them out evenly so it's not a mess. All right. All right, I'm going to go to the next one. Now I'm going to space them a little bit wider from each other, further away from each other. This is called hatching. Now, I always felt like I'm not really good at this, so I decided that I was going to practice it because I really like the way it looks, and I looked up some YouTube videos too to kind of learn it and get better at it. So if you like this kind of stuff, just work on it a little bit more. And then you just keep widening the space in between these. And then as you do that, try to make them even. I didn't do a great job there, but as you do that, it will start to appear like it's getting lighter. Okay, so this one looks the darkest, this one looks lighter. Now I could have put another step in between this one and this one, but it's okay. I think you get the point. Okay, I'm going to do it in this one. Now this one is hatching. This one is cross hatching. okay? So again, I'm going to start with my lines going in one direction. And then now I'm going to go across the other direction. Okay, I can even, if I wanted to make this darker, I would go one more time this way. Okay, that's considered cross hatching. All right, now let's do this one. Okay, and the next way you can do this is by stippling or stipling. I don't really know how to pronounce it, to be honest. So what it is creating dots on your paper, and the closer that you put the dots to each other, it will give the appearance that it is darker. Okay, so the less space that you leave between the dots, it will make it look like it's darker. It takes a little bit longer, but when you are doing inking, you just do a combination of these. So when you are inking is just when you are using your pen, you use a combination of these. So this one is going to be my darkest, and then these ones I will space it out more, and it will be lighter. So that's basically what it is, stippling, or I think that's how you have to pronounce it, stippling. And the cross hatching and hatching, and you would do a combination of all of them to do shadows onto your objects. Okay, so this is an optional step. So what you want to do is, if you wanted to, you can add some details. I'm not going to spend too much time with the shadows. I'll do that at the end, and if you want to watch, you can, but you can then move on to your next object. Now, put objects, you can do another object right here, for example, and have half of it go here and half of it here, and you can make it bigger or smaller than real life. Okay, so I'm just going to show you an example of if you wanted to do it with a pencil and then go over it with the ink, how that will work. I'm going to draw these pliers, and I'm going to actually draw them pretty big. Try to avoid tracing around it, because the whole point of this exercise is for you to learn how to draw. If you trace around it, you're going to cheat yourself from learning how to draw better. Okay, and also I'm going to just know. So I'm going to do this with a pencil now and draw my pliers. There it is. Now, you may have noticed I erased a lot more. And I went over this whole thing, like I didn't skip the spaces that I had left with my puzzle pieces. And the reason for that is that I can always go back and erase those. So that's the nice thing about doing it with a pencil. You don't have to worry about skipping that little step right there. Okay, you can just go over the whole thing. But what I don't like is that when I am drawing with ink, I feel like I think less and I just do it. I just go for it because I know I can't erase. But when I'm doing it with a pencil, I constantly think about, oh no, this is messed up. I want to erase. I automatically want to erase more. So part of what I like about pen is just going for it. And also you can skip this step where you have to go over it again. Okay, so but what is the upside to doing this is that when you do go over it, then you can make some adjustments and you can make your drawing better. Okay, this is the part where I'm going to start skipping that line. I'm not going to go over my line in between the puzzle pieces. I'll skip that part and then I'll go over it. And I'm making an adjustment to my line because I think that it needs to come out more. So with my pen, I'm just going to be more intentional with my line and kind of make adjustments to what I have to change to make the drawing more accurate. Try to be aware of the edges of things, okay, like this side, for example, and that will make it look more three-dimensional, okay, or the little edges that you might not really see right here on these sides, and include those in there because this is a three-dimensional object, and to try to make it more three-dimensional. And then obviously when you are done inking, you can go back and erase your pencil lines, and then that will also get rid of the lines right there, and it will just make your drawing, this kind of creating puzzle pieces makes it just look cooler, right? And that's the main reason why we're doing it, just to kind of play around with the space in our sketchbook with the blank page. Instead of just going for the blank page, dividing the page up to create visual interest, and maybe just it's less daunting and makes it easier to approach a blank space. Okay, so with this, again, I could go and put some shadows. When I'm doing shadows for curved surfaces, my lines are going to be curved. You're going to do at least 5 objects, okay? Do them detailed as possible. Draw every little thing that you see on the object, okay? That is going to make your drawing more interesting, and it's going to train your eyes to be able to notice the details. The more you practice that, the better you're going to get at observational drawing. Done. I did 7 pieces. Like I said, your minimum is 5 that you have to do. If you want to do more, you can. Get something into every single one of these puzzle pieces. There is no minimum number for the puzzle pieces, but try to get at least 3 parts to your page. And if you want to make them completely equal, you can. When you're done with it, if you want to, you can go in with a Sharpie and fill in the spaces in between the puzzle pieces with your Sharpie, or if you have paint, or if you have a pen. So whatever you have to color with, you can use it to go in between those spaces. So that's what I'm going to do, and that's going to be the last part of this project. I hope you enjoy it. Take your time with it. Add details, add color if you want to. Just be creative with it, okay?